Welcome back to another episode of Checking In. I am Nikki Check, your host of Checking In, and in studios I have Danica Dutt with me today. Thank you very much for coming in, Danica.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Danica, I have all kinds of questions, and the purpose of checking in is just to get closer to or more intimate with different people within our community, definitely through the lens of business and career and that type of journey, but very much as a big part of community and service in and volunteering. You are an associate at Benna Wealth Strategies.
Right. Yeah.
And there was something on your profile that I read that I found an interesting take, and it was helping people become money confident. What does that mean?
That's really how I began my journey into being a wealth advisor. And so what I found is knowledge gains confidence. And so I found that a lot of the families, my lane really is in family advising, that they were intimidated to even start a financial plan. And so what I found is with a little bit of knowledge, education, and when they gained their confidence, there was no limit to where they wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. So did you wake up one day and want to be a wealth advisor, or what was your career journey?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. My passion my whole life was actually to be a social worker for people with developmental disabilities. And you might wonder how that shift happened. So I think that it came from my grandmother growing up had MS, and at that time there wasn't a lot of treatments. She had it very severely. I didn't know any different. She didn't have use of her arms, legs, voice, but I rode around on her power chair in the mall, and we'd go shopping, and I fed my grandma and loved her with all my heart. So my sister is a rehab assistant, and my passion in high school was I'm going to, really serve a population that has no voice. I did a lot of volunteer work with Special Olympics, and my career counselor said, "This is what you want to do," and I said, "This is my passion. This is my life." And my dad said, "Follow your heart." So graduated, went to Okanagan University College. That dates me a little bit. And did a couple years of Bachelor of Arts, and then did my human service worker, and then did 3 years of social work. Spent from age 19 to age 34 in the community, serving people with developmental disabilities, and loved it. So you might wonder, how did the leap happen? I married young, bought a house, had my 2 children, and even then bought the house 2007, right? So before 2008. And even then it was a little difficult to be raising a family.
Sure.
So there I was, 26, 27 years old, and sought out how can we do better. And a lot of institutions just said, well, don't you have some family that could just lend you some money? That was not an option we wanted to take. And so through that, we sent the children's father to Alberta to work on the rigs. His income tripled. It was great. I continued to serve, people with disabilities. I loved it. But what I found was 2 things. One, when he was coming home telling me about 65-year-old broken men that still had to show up every day, and nothing really to show for it, I said in that moment, we need to do something, and you're not making all these sacrifices to have nothing to show. And that's when I was inspired to seek out knowledge and become confident, and I ended up just loving it so much that I dived right into all my licensing.
That's so fascinating, because you look at, and again, for those that know me know I come from the banking industry, and you look at and again, not all, but you look at that sector. We lived in the north, and you have a lot of people working rigs and working forestry and a lot of commuting to homes in different places, and there wasn't an ability that I saw often that was living within means.
Yeah.
So you're at a $200,000-300,000 a year income, and you spend that and some. So interesting that you saw or recognized the opportunity to help people not be broken in 65 and going back to the rigs. A hard job,
Very
hard labor.
Yeah. And also, and I can speak as a woman in business, it was also what I recognized was a living where I could provide for my family. And I respect so much what the work of caregivers do, but when you're a mother of children, it's just not enough too. So the education, the licensing, and the career change was also a way that I could provide for my family and still care for people. So that is my advising lane too. So I provide that nurturing, that caring, and I was able to transfer it from my work with people with disabilities to my clientele now. Yeah.
So did you do your licensing while working still?
Yeah.
And your kids would have been how old?
At that time, they would have been 11 and 9. Yeah, so getting a little more independent. I will say that them seeing that process and that hard work at the time was very hard. But now I can see in their eyes, they learned a lot, and they saw what it did for our family. Yeah.
So Danica, if you will humor me, I just want to talk about that a bit more. And I if I make you uncomfortable, please say, and I'll step back. But as someone that had a husband that worked in a mine up north in northern Manitoba, and he would go away for 2 and 3 weeks. Jim would go away for 2 and 3 weeks, and he'd come back. And again, not a complaint, but if the garbage needed to go out on Friday, guess who took the garbage out? Yeah. If the dog had to go to the vet, if the children had to go to hockey practice. So when a partner, a spouse works out of community and is literally away for weeks at a time, that's a lot put on the other spouse to manage the house, the children, the finances, and everything. So I don't want to step away from having the audience really understand, and I'm going to call it the sacrifice, because there would have been sacrifice of sleep, of health, of watching a Netflix series if you so wanted to do that, and that speaks a lot to your perseverance, to your dedication, to your commitment to seeing something through, and to just really being passionate to improve.
Yes.
You didn't get an easy ticket in the mail? There wasn't
No. My most favorite advice has been the hardest, most truthful advice. And it was difficult, and my licensing was taking a little longer.
Sure it would.
And I had a peer say to me, "How bad do you want this?" She also knew how to coach me. She knew, that's also a talent. And I said, for a variety of reasons, I want this really bad. And she looked at me and she said, "Put a pot of coffee on then, girl." And one, I work well if I'm challenged. And 2, I said, fair enough. And that's what I ended up doing, quite a few sleepless nights, as you said, but it got done. And the reward was far more than the lack of sleep. So it really was through some tough words and not that soft, "I know it's so hard and I know you have so much to do." It was the person saying, "Do you want this
step up or step
not?"
out?
And that has always been my most appreciated friends and leaders, is the one that just give it straight.
Okay, so how many years have you been licensed?
8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah.
And you've taken that nurturing passion that you had in serving our disabled community, and you've transferred that passion to help into the finance world. is the step into, so again, it's two-step, your second financial step into Ben & Wealth Strategies. Mm-hmm. Is it you being part of that business, or is it very much like, are you an intrapreneur? Is it your business?
No.
Your portfolio? Or?
No, so I went from self-employed originally in the industry to employee, which some people think is a different shift. So entrepreneurial is a good word. So Daniel Bussiere owns the firm. Mm-hmm. He sought me out because he heard what I was doing in the family marketplace, wanted that for Ben & Wealth Strategies. And what I will say is he is a leader in business that allows and gives room to grow and ideas and have an entrepreneurial spirit. But it is great to work within a collaborative team. So one unique thing about Ben & Wealth is we're salary-based, which means in the financial industry is unique, but we are a collaborative team that can grow, work, dream, put all our minds together for one client. And so he allows me a lot of freedom and space to help and serve clients the way I love to do, which is great.
And that's probably a very good reason maybe why you are the current serving president of the Kelowna Women in Business. That takes an enormous amount of volunteer time. And
so I was not aware of Kelowna Women in Business day one in Ben & Wealth Strategies. So Daniel Bussiere, and I'm going to put a little lens of a woman's lens in it because that's what I am passionate about, and that's what I live. I walked into the office, and he said, "You need to know about Kelowna Women in Business." So yes, so he had a former partner that was in Kelowna Women in Business. Daniel is the oldest of 9 children and has many sisters, and that's what I really think he understands so much of how I work best. Mm-hmm. And so he's really forward thinking in how can Danica be all she can be. Financial industry, most of the time you're a robot. Produce. Yep. The other thing when I stepped in the office, he said, you're a mom, you're a wife, and then you're an advisor. And so if you see me on Instagram, my name is Mom, Wife, Money. Daniel named me. And over the past 3 years, what I found when I filled the mom cup, when I filled the wife cup, I became triple the advisor, right? And so he is, I find, very forward thinking as a leader to understand that time over here makes me even better over here. And so I said, okay, I need to join Kelowna Women in Business. I did. I was a member. I went through the mentorship program, which is relaunching applications January 2024. Okay. And in Daniel's mind, as a business owner, he thought it was phenomenal. He didn't have to put that time in. The investment was $175. I got 1-to-1 mentorship with Jessica Samuels, who owns Hub Office Furniture, really well known in the community. The growth that she took me from was from here to here. And Daniel got to reap the benefits. Ben & Wealth Strategies got to reap the benefits of that. I saw, within that time, I became president of B&I Network, the Elite Network, Tuesday chapter. I was doing really well in career, and Daniel was so happy. He said, this is why. You go to Kelowna Women in Business, you grow, you develop, and then you bring it back to Ben & Wealth Strategies. Was a member for 1 year, and then Debrilla Bronstein said, why don't you be president? So the following year, I was so passionate about the work that Kelowna Women in Business does that I became president.
Now, where does Top 40 over 40 land in that continuum, in that line?
Yeah, so I was top 40 under 40, and that was a few years ago, and that was...
You have both.
Yeah.
Under and
which
over.
Which was kind of... Okay, so this is about vision, kind of thinking about what you want.
Okay.
Writing it down.
Okay.
So first was top 40 under 40.
Yep.
And then I knew within the spacing of the award that top 40 over 40 was a possibility. I'm big on journaling, so wrote it down. And then knew within those years too, I had a lot of goals for community work and also professional work, and went to town on that, and was really honored when it happened. And that was kind of I don't know if you have a list of things that you would just love to accomplish.
Absolutely.
And when you get to do that, it's satisfying. Yeah.
You may or may not have heard of Jim's book called Mission Possible. Yes. And our family has been constantly journaling. We'll sit down around this time of the year and we start to reflect on some of the goals that each of the people in the family have set the previous season, the previous year. And it's amazing the ground that you cover, yet you don't feel like you're covering it, because when you're in it, it seems small, but when you reflect on it, it's huge, the impact and the success that you have. So very big in goal setting. And again, it can be different. You journal, you set actual goals. Sounds like you visualize. Some people can just think about it and continue to focus on it. So different ways to do it. But
and I love that you bring your children into that. And I've done that with my children too. So we actually have a list on the fridge. We created it 2 years ago, and I got them to write the list too. And then it is amazing when you start to look at the ground, like, oh, we did that. We did that. So I love that you bring your family into growing into that too.
Well, and it's beautiful. It's in a leather bound, book from Chapters or Indigo years and years ago, and you see the kids' handwriting as it transitions from like grade 3 to grade 4 to grade 5, and the goals are smaller in nature, but they're big for them at that time. So very, very much a believer of goal setting. Mentorship. So mentorship is and has served you well. I believe that you absolutely pay it forward to others. I'm sure you hear it often at Kelowna Women in Business. That the mentorship program that's opening in January. Do you want to take a minute to share with the audience what the mentorship program is and does?
Yeah. So 70% of women believe in mentorship, but only 32% report really having any. So it is
a little bit of a gap.
Missing gap that is happening, right? And so Kara James, I'm sure everyone out there knows Kara. 2 years ago, she put a lot of work into this program. It was phenomenal. I was a part of it and saw the growth that happened inside of that when people sit one-to-one and have discussions like you have nowhere else. And then, last year the program was running, but what we found was members had some asks, and we wanted to take a minute and really listen to those and pour into the program and readjust. So that's why we're relaunching in January. What I loved about the program is the mentee designed it. So when I had my meeting with Jessica, it's not like a cookie cutter experience. When I had my meeting with Jessica, she said, what do you want to achieve here? So each mentee may have, they might want to write a business plan. They might want to know how to scale. They might want to know how to read financials. They may want to know, like, how do I get that promotion at work? It's really tailored and unique to the person, which I found was great. And I'm big on you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. And so I think just being able to spend time with those people traditionally you wouldn't be able to. It's a different level of conversation. I really like to watch that person and, how do they carry themselves and, what are they ordering? And there's just so much you can learn. Right? There's so much you can learn. And so I'm a huge believer in that. Now, I'm a professional in Kelowna Women in Business, so that's the thing some people don't know. is for professionals too, not just business owners. A lot of our mentors in the law industry, accounting industry, tech industry, probably marketing too, are men, which is great. You know, I've had some incredible men mentors that have taught me so much. But there's a little bit of a different conversation that happens when there's a woman to woman mentor, and probably the same when it's a man to man mentor.
Sure.
Just of experience, just really truth. And different lived experiences that we have in life and profession, and
certainly a commonality of knowing that you've shared the same seats in the trenches. It's different.
And so I think there is this vulnerability when you're able just to say all of, you know, what you're experiencing and thinking, and you can get it all out there, then you can work through that. Right? And some of those things you're thinking, you know, maybe just a story inside your head, but it was safe enough just to put out, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that I recommend highly within that mentorship. Like I said, I saw a lot of growth within myself. President of BNI, president of Kelowna Women in Business. Business was going well. Actually, the kids watched me grow. As I get stronger, my children become stronger. So the effects were everywhere. Yeah,
I think that's fascinating, Danica. So the program, how is it oversubscribed to? Are you short of mentees? Are you short of
mentors?
Yeah.
I would say that we're always seeking mentors. What is interesting to me is sometimes a woman will apply as mentee, and you
flip them into a mentor.
Yeah. And that's that confidence piece. And I'm speaking very generally. Have you ever read the book by Martha Piper, Nerve?
I haven't.
Okay, it's incredible.
Okay.
So Martha Piper made a very unpopular decision to bring UBCO to the Okanagan, which now she says all of the people that were not in favor are saying it was a really good idea. But she had to go through some tough times. Indra is her co-author, and it is raw truth about women in leadership, and I love it. So Martha Piper, she talks about that and in the book, and it's something I would recommend that people read for sure. Yes.
On the list.
Yes.
Avid reader. I enjoy reading, so that one I will take up. Your Kelowna Women in Business, how many members are in the organization right now?
So we have 270 members in the organization. And you know Kelowna Women in Business well. And so it has been in Kelowna for over 30 years. Some people don't know that. We're really proud because a lot of people don't know we're nonprofit as well, and that everything above expenses goes to our charity partner of the year. We've had some incredible charity partners, and so Hope Outreach is one of the charity partners, going to that gala Saturday.
I will see you Saturday.
Wonderful. Wonderful. This year's charity partner is Project Literacy. So watch out for some posts about them. A lot of people, again, they've been around. Vaccine to Heart commented on my LinkedIn. They've been around 40 years. They do incredible work. And I think it's a lot what people don't realize. So with so many new people moving to Kelowna, new people to Canada, they do things like help you understand how to, communicate with a doctor. How do you communicate with a teacher? There's a story of a woman that was from Iran. Everyone's banging on her door October 31st. They're yelling things. She was so scared.
She didn't know Halloween.
She was so frightened. She came to Project Literacy, and they explained, there's this holiday. She said, okay. They do things. They meet the person where they're at. It's not just about reading or language.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah. Another story was a woman came, started as a chambermaid at a hotel, didn't have English language. her body was just breaking down. Very hard work. She asked Project Literacy, can you please help me get to the point where I can be to the front desk? So they worked with her, and they worked with her, and they worked with her, and they got her that job, right? So a lot of things people don't know. That's our charity partner this year. Really exciting. On the 22nd, we have an event. And do you know Ready to Eat? Okay, go to the district in Town Center Mall. It's called Ready to Eat. Okay. It's a big store with big glass windows. Tatiana and her husband, who are from Ukraine, immigrated here. Project Literacy helped them, and they have opened this business. Oh. You can buy borscht, you can buy pierogies, and you can watch them cooking it with this big glass window. They have a whole team. I
can't wait to see it.
So she's speaking 22nd at our Kelowna Women in Business event about her story with Project Literacy.
Amazing. I love it. Sounds like Kelowna Women in Business has picked an incredible charity yet again to support. Yeah. Danica, thank you so much for coming into studio and sharing your story with me. I'm confident it will inspire people to take the leap of faith and maybe just challenge themselves to either set goals, get recertified, do something that maybe they're passionate about. So thank you very much for coming in and sharing.
Thank you. I look up to you so much, and over the 20 years what you've done here in this community, so I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Danica. Thanks for tuning in.